I am Bridget Lake, president of the Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we are here with Mike Kraynick, running for 9th Circuit Court Judge, Group 34, serving both Orange and Osceola County. Our premier virtual Eastside Regional Hob Nob is presented by Lucas Land Group, an Oviedo-based family-run business with interests throughout Central Florida. Our sponsors, Duke Energy and UCF. Our radio sponsor, 96.5 WDBO, and our website sponsor, Palm Tree Tech Center. Now, before we get into our intriguing conversation, let's watch a few quick commercials from our sponsor, Duke Energy and UCF.
You deserve a smarter energy future, now. That's why Duke Energy is investing in advanced technology that improves reliability and helps prevent outages, that strengthens the grid against everything from storms to cyber attacks, moves the most vulnerable lines underground, and adds more solar, because you deserve stronger, cleaner, more reliable energy, and we're determined to deliver it. We're Duke Energy, and we're building your smarter energy future today.
At UCF, success continues, innovating for 20 years in the lab, classroom, and online, with faculty, researchers, and scientists delivering better than ever results. Ranked among the top 20 most innovative universities in the nation, with 22 awards of excellence in online teaching from the Online Learning Consortium, your path to a degree is clearest where learning charges on.
And now we are back with Mike Kraynick, running for the 9th Circuit Court Judge, Group 34. He is one of our candidates at the Eastside Regional Hob Nob. Mike, how are you doing today?
Good morning, Bridget. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Mike Kraynick, and I'm a judge, I'm a coach, and I'm an educator. I'm a third-generation Floridian. I was born and raised in West Palm Beach, Florida. Currently, I'm a circuit judge here in the 9th Judicial Circuit, serving Orange and Osceola counties. Currently assigned to the Unified Family Bench in Osceola County. I handle all matters pertaining to the family: divorces, paternity cases, and domestic violence. In 11 months, I've had over 500 domestic violence hearings and 39 trials. I am married. I've been with my wife for over a decade. Her name is Tina. She's a school teacher here in the Central Florida area. And we have 2 boys under the age of 5. I was appointed to the bench in July of last year to the Unified Family Division, and it's still been busy. Even dealing with the COVID pandemic, I have still been able to have trials and hearings and have families bring their issues before the court and try to have those issues resolved. Before I became a judge, I graduated from Florida State University with degrees in finance and real estate. After I graduated from Florida State, I attended law school here in Orlando at Barry University School of Law. I've called Central Florida my home for the last 15 years. During law school, I fell in love with trial advocacy, and I was part of their mock trial program for 2.5 years. My last year in law school, my team finished 5th in the country out of 227 law schools in the biggest mock trial competition in the United States. Being a part of that program kind of fed into my passion for serving and for teaching. Prior to being appointed as a judge, I was a commercial litigator. I specialized in business litigation and construction litigation in a small firm in Winter Park. I worked my way up from law clerk to associate and was eventually named a partner in that firm. I've tried cases before both judge and jury, and I had the opportunity to argue at the appellate level in 2 out of the 5 district courts of appeal here in the state of Florida. My passion for serving and teaching started immediately after I graduated. From 2008 to date, I've been serving as a coach at the Barry Law School for their mock trial program, and it's such a labor of love for me. My teams are very competitive. We've advanced at multiple competitions, and I've won multiple national championships and 1 state championship as their leader. I've also been in charge of the operation of the mock trial program. Since 2012, I've been the adjunct faculty advisor for the program, and I lead about 40 to 55 kids every year and a dozen lawyers who give of their time, their energy, and the effort to coach my kids, my students. And I also teach a class during the summer for my students. It's a 6-week course about the basics of being a trial lawyer. Those concepts of serving and teaching are what stirred a passion inside me to serve as a judge in order to give back to the community at large and to give back to the lawyers that are here and serve them and provide full and fair opportunities to be heard. So it's a warm, open environment for anyone who has any issues to come before me, that they're not going to be prejudged based on race, creed, background, or anything along those lines. Every case, because especially I'm dealing with family, every case is different. Every case is like a snowflake, and you have to treat every case as its own. And having that responsibility is very heavy, and it's also very humbling and very rewarding. It's the greatest job in the world, and I would not trade it for anything. And I'm up on the ballot in August this year, and I look forward to being retained this coming August so I continue to serve the community and use those core values of hard work, being prepared, and being fair on a daily basis.
Now, I love the fact when you first started, you mentioned coach. I will tell you that immediately, and you were talking about your two sons. How old are your two sons?
They're both, I've got a 4.5-year-old and like a 2.5-year-old.
I will tell you that immediately when I thought coach, I was thinking like little league but then you went into coaching in a different way. So tell me a little bit about your sons and about your family. Sure.
Well, my wife and I have been together since May of 2009. We got married in September 21st, 2013. We've got two boys, John, who's 4.5, and Mark, who's 2.5. They're not going to school currently because of the COVID pandemic. And my wife was an educator and still is. So she taught in Osceola County for over a dozen years and is now teaching through Florida Virtual School here in Orlando, teaching lots of Central Florida students. And without her, I don't know how we would have survived having the kids at home with the pandemic. Because she was a classroom teacher for so long, she put them right to work and had a regimen for them every morning, colors, shapes, days of the week. And my 4-year-old totally bought in. My 2-year-old is getting there. He's learning more words. He's learning colors. And it's just been awesome that she's able to, I don't know how she does it. She's able to work a full-time job and teach and take care of two kids on a daily basis when I'm gone for 12 or 13 hours a day.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. So now let's talk about the coaching. Get a little bit more into that. Tell me what that's like.
So the mock trial program is, what it is you're given a fact pattern. It could be anywhere from like 50 to 150 pages long. There's different witnesses, different causes of action, different claims. It could be a criminal case or it could be a civil case. And you're given 6 to 8 weeks to work that up. Every aspect of a trial, from opening statements to direct examinations where you're eliciting helpful testimony from your witnesses, cross-examination where you're pointing out the weaknesses in the other side's case or showing issues with their believability or their credibility, and closing arguments. And it's teaching the students how to use the evidence code, which is how lawyers are allowed to get certain pieces of evidence or testimony in for the court or the jury to review and hear, and rules of procedure, either from the criminal side or from the civil side. It's about a 40-hour-a-week commitment on top of your regular schooling or regular job if you're a coach. It's a huge time commitment, and I am eternally grateful for the lawyers that are part of our program that sacrifice that time every week for 6 to 8 weeks to teach my young students how it is to be a prepared, hardworking lawyer when they get out into the real world. The key for that program is when they graduate, they know how to try a case. And it's the most rewarding thing for me to see a student as a 1L, a first semester member of law school, graduate and they're just a lion in the courtroom. It's the most rewarding thing I can ever be a part of, on top of having kids. Kids first, my students second.
I can imagine that sounds like a great program. And is this program only for when they start that first initial semester?
So it's you try out to make the team. And it's not an invite only. It's open to everybody who wants to try out. It's just there's a cutoff with how many semesters you have left in school. You have to have at least, I think it's 3 or 4 semesters left, full semesters, spring and fall, in order for you to be on the team. If you have like a year left in law school, we're not going to be able to have you participate because there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get you ready to be a competition advocate.
All right, and let's switch this up a little bit because you have been a judge for how long now?
It is 11 months today.
And you were appointed, did you say?
I was appointed by the governor of the state of Florida.
Okay. And now you are presiding over the family division. What are the most difficult matters that you take up in that specific division?
Domestic violence cases. Part of my, I have about 2,500 cases on my docket right now, and I have domestic violence hearings every 6 weeks. So 1 week I'll be signing and I'll be reviewing the petitions that are filed, and then 3 weeks later I'll have the actual hearings. Last week was my hearing week. I had over 50 domestic violence hearings last week alone. There were originally 100 teed up that week. Service hadn't been done for some of the persons yet, or there were reasons they needed to be continued. So we had 50 of them last week. The hardest thing for me is fostering an environment of warmth and an environment of openness for someone who's been abused to tell their story. In Osceola County, before COVID, everybody would come to the courtroom at one time. So on one side of the courtroom, you had everybody seeking protection from domestic violence. Right across the aisle, on the other side of the courtroom, you had everybody against whom that protection was sought. And you're not allowed to look at each other. You're not allowed to talk to each other. You can have no communication whatsoever. And you have to have women, men, children potentially, or parents on behalf of children come and tell the stories of the abuse in front of all these strangers and a judge who they don't know at all. So it's creating that environment of openness, seriousness, because it is serious, but openness and warmth that those persons are able to tell their story. The court isn't going to prejudge or predispose any issue, and give both the person seeking protection and those against whom protection is sought the opportunity to tell their story on, hey, everything that person said is not true, and here's why, judge. Or this is how badly all the things that have happened to me for years and years and years and years, and I finally mustered up the courage to do it. The statistics in domestic violence are fascinating. I didn't know anything about domestic violence before I took the bench. I was a business litigation, construction litigation attorney for over a decade. And it was really eye-opening to me, the statistics. It takes a person who's abused 7 times before they complete the paperwork to seek protection from against domestic violence. And that means going to the courthouse, getting the paperwork, and then leaving and throwing it away. 7 times before they're willing to sign their name and show up for the hearing to ask the court for help. So I take those very, very seriously, because in some instances, it really truly could be a life or death situation.
Mm-hmm. And my last question being, what makes you the best candidate in this particular race?
Sure. I think what makes me the best candidate in this race is my experience and my qualifications. We are going to have here in the 9th and throughout the state of Florida an extreme backlog of cases as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. We're talking jury trials, bench trials, hearings that just keep packing up and backing up and backing up. The public, in order to be served, is going to need experienced, qualified judges. I've been serving for the last 11 months. I had over a decade of experience handling all matters, that complicated business matters and construction matters that came before me. And because of my experiences in the courtroom, because of my out of the courtroom teaching and advocacy and educating, coupled that, I think makes me a very unique candidate for this race. Being a judge, a coach, an educator, and a teacher, I think I use those skills every day as a member of the bench, and that's what the public is going to need in order to be properly served moving forward once we work our way through this COVID pandemic and after we get out of it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that I missed that you want to add before we wrap this up?
I'm just running through my head real quick. Give me a second. Other than vote to keep Judge Kraynick on or before August 18th, I don't think there's anything else.
Thank you so much. We're here with Mike Kraynick, running for 9th Circuit Court Judge, Group 34. He is one of our candidates to the Eastside Regional Hob Nob. We are having our virtual Eastside Regional Hob Nob on June 30th, starting at 5:30 p.m. We hope to see you there. And check out a lot of our virtual interviews on ESRhobnob.com. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us, and thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Bridget. Everybody have a great week.